Shemel Shah. Yahweh Shemel Shah. Barakatah Yahweh Shah. Barakatah Yahweh. Barakatah Yahweh. Barakatah Yahweh Shah.
Shah. La. War.
Surely the isles shall wait for me, and the ships of Tarshish first, to bring thy sons from far, their silver and their gold with them, unto the name of the Lord thy God, and to the Holy One of Israel, because he hath glorified thee. And the sons of strangers shall build up thy walls, and their kings shall minister unto thee. For in my wrath I smote thee, but in my favor have I had mercy on thee. Therefore thy gates shall be open continually. They shall not be shut day nor night, that men may bring unto thee the forces of the Gentiles, and that their kings may be brought. For the nation and kingdom that will not serve thee shall perish, yea, those nations shall be utterly wasted. The glory of Lebanon shall come unto thee, the fir tree, the pine tree, and the box together, to beautify the place of my sanctuary. And I will make the place of my feet glorious. The sons also of them that afflicted thee shall come bending unto thee, and all they that despised thee shall bow themselves down at the soles of thy feet, and they shall call thee the city of the Lord, the Zion of the Holy One of Israel. Whereas thou hast been forsaken and hated, so that no man went through thee, I will make thee an eternal excellency, a joy of many generations. Thou shalt also suck the milk of the Gentiles, and shalt suck the breast of kings. And thou shalt know that I, the Lord, am thy Savior and thy Redeemer, the mighty one of Jacob. For brass I will bring gold, and for iron I will bring silver, and for wood brass, and for stones iron. I will also make thy officers peace, and thine exactors righteousness. Violence shall no more be heard in thy land, wasting nor destruction within thy borders. But thou shalt call thy walls salvation, and thy gates praise. The sun shall be no more thy light by day, neither for brightness shall the moon give light unto thee. But the Lord shall be unto thee an everlasting light, and thy God thy glory.
All right, Shalom. First and foremost, I would like to give all praise and glory unto Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shah, Bahashem, Rakakadash, and double honors unto the apostles and the elders of GMS who rule well, teach well, being great examples towards younger brothers. And peace and blessings and salutation to the hopeful lake out there pushing his word in truth and in sincerity across the four winds in the name of Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai, pushing to get up out of here. Shalom to the hopeful lake, the believers and listeners whom have came back to the obedience of the scriptures through faith in Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai. All right, and what I want to get into today, the kings of the east, prepare for war. Okay, and as we know, all right, we in a time, of heavy prophecy. Esau, Edom. The devil only has a few moves left. Okay, before he gets the ultimate checkmate, the end of his kingdom, the end of his rulership. Okay, which is the end of any heathen ever being in rulership again. Esau, okay, is the headliner. All right, the last up for all the heathens. Okay, he's the last heathen that will ever have authority in the earth. Okay, because after this, Howard Shai, okay, is coming back to establish the throne of David. Okay, which is the throne, the will of Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai being established in the earth. Okay, the dominion over the heathens forever. All right, the uniting of the tribes forever. you know, and we're seeing everything build up to that point, you know, because all prophecy leads to Yahweh Shai. Okay. And as we go into this third world war, well, this is the scene, okay, which Yahweh Shai appears, you know. So as we follow these things and we see, you know, the build up, we know that we're that much closer. Okay. Matter of fact, let's go here. Even Yahweh Shai said, when you go to Matthew chapter 26 and all right, this is the book of Matthew chapter 26 and 41. It says, watch and pray that you enter not into temptation. The spirit indeed is willing, but the flesh is weak. Okay, so we're commanded to watch. All right, and what we're watching for prophecy, because prophecy is the indicator of how close we are to Yahweh Shai. You know, so we're watching prophecy, we're watching for Yahweh Shai. Okay, like those good stewards that wait upon their Lord, those wise virgins that wait, you know, upon the groom. Okay, so we're, you know, watching prophecy in the state of preparedness, man. Okay, because we are in the transition of empires. Okay, we was raised up in this time, the scripture say, an appointed time. Okay, because the Lord's getting ready to transition from Esau into Jacob. You see, and Yahweh Shai, he marks that transition. Okay, Yahweh Shai is coming to put a flag of righteousness in the earth, man. All right, to plant a flag of righteousness. Okay, victory over death for the elect. Okay, the end of the devil's, you know, tyranny and evil empire. Okay, so we're watching that we enter not into temptation, man, because as we're watching these prophecies, we're still in Babylon. Okay, we're still being tested, we're still going through trials. Okay, so watching gives us hope in something beyond this current situation. You know, there's nothing, you know, there's more rejoicing than seeing the Lord's prophecy come to pass real time. You know, it balances out the hell. Seeing prophecy come to pass, it balances out the hell. You know, the hell we catch, you know, this, the vexation, okay, the you know, the disappointments of this world. Well, we're never disappointed in Yahweh Bashim Shai. Okay. And seeing these prophecies come to pass, it balances us out, man. Okay. It said the spirit indeed is willing, man. The spirit is ready for something else. The spirit is ready for a righteous kingdom. Okay. But this flesh is weak. That's why we got to tap into the spirit. We got to lean into the spirit, man. Okay. This flesh is weak. You see, flesh is impatient. The flesh want to chill. The flesh is okay with this current situation. Okay. The flesh just wants to be comfortable. You see, but the spirit indeed is willing, okay, to do what needs to be done, man, to endure. Okay. So we got to be in the spirit, man. And we should be, you know, revived by seeing prophecy. Okay. This should be our joy, seeing the Lord's will play out in the earth, man. But the only way to really fully see what the Lord is doing is to be tapped in. You know, you got to be in the loop. You see? And you see everything is happening exactly how it's supposed to happen, according to scripture, man. So let's go here because we know, all right, what times we in, man. Okay, the Lord is showing us plainly where we at. All right, when you go to Ecclesiastes 3:1, it says, to everything there's a season and a time to every purpose under heaven. Okay, so when you go into, you know, the scriptures, where the scriptures let us know the Most High's purpose. Okay, matter of fact, let's get a few precepts and then we'll come back to that. Okay, because even when you go here, Luke 12, all right, and 32, It's the book of Luke chapter 12, verse 32. It says, "Fear not, little flock, for it is your Father's good pleasure to give you the kingdom." It's your Father's good pleasure to give you the kingdom. Okay? So the scripture tells us to fear not, little flock. It is your Father's good pleasure to give you the kingdom. But before we get the kingdom, this kingdom has to be rooted up. It has to be plucked up. Okay? And what's going to pluck up this kingdom is this war and the return of Yahushua. Okay? It's going to remove, all right, this wicked tree, Esau, Edom, that's been rooted in the earth, man. Esau, as the scriptures say. Okay? He's like a, let's go here. Let's go here. And we just, in the spirit, it's a book of Psalms. All right, chapter 37. All right, Psalm 37. Okay, and 35. It says, "I have seen the wicked in great power, and spreading himself like a green bay tree." So this devil, his wickedness has taken deep root in the earth, man. Okay, that's why you look at you hear these people, they complain, about this current system, but when they go into the solution, they it just barely scrapes the surface. Their solution will be like cutting off a leaf of this wicked, all right, green bay tree, man. Okay, Yahushua is coming to uproot the wickedness, man, which these elite bankers, which have embedded themselves in all these different governments, okay, businesses and institutions all throughout the earth, man. Okay, that's the source of the wicked is Amalek. His ass gotta be rooted up, man. And he hides behind, the power of these different militaries of the earth, his banking system, okay, his technology. All right, but Yahushua is coming to tear all that down, and they already gonna be destroying each other. Okay, when Yahushua returns. Okay, Esau Edom is already going to be in self-destruct mode at the return of Yahushua, man. Yahushua is coming to finalize everything, man. Okay, so as we've seen the wicked in great power, which that's what we're seeing. This devil, okay, the Lord has exalted this man to great power. Okay, to where he has a lot of control of the planet Earth. You see, but as this devil is beginning to decline, okay, we're going to see this devil get impulsive, get reckless. You see, and it's going to lead to his end. Okay, and Yahushua come to close the casket, man. Verse 36 said, "Yet he passed away, and lo, he was not. Yet I sought him, but he could not be found." Man, the Lord is going to erase this man. Okay, there's going to be no trace of this man that he was ever in power. Okay, that's why I say a whole new heaven and a new earth, man. The earth, as Paris, okay, London, New York, okay, Sydney, Australia, everything from the past away, man. It's gonna be a whole new earth, man. Okay, it's gonna be a true reset. Okay, not merging man with machine and a surveillance state and what this nigga talking about. Nah, man, it's gonna be a complete new world order and righteousness, man. All this Edomite infrastructure and all this infrastructure of these heathens coming down, man. Okay, the governments, Yahushua is coming to topple all governments. Okay, and he's coming to topple all infrastructure, man. You see, like the earth is going to get a fresh cleanse, man. This fire. Okay, it's going to do a lot of renovation in the earth. It's going to be destroying and renovating at the same time. Okay, so as this devil, the devil has dug himself, his roots deep. All right, Esau had dug his wicked roots deep into the earth, man. Yahushua is coming to pluck up, and that's why when you even go to, all right, the book of Ecclesiastes 3:1 again, it says, to everything there is a season and a time to every purpose under the heaven. And what's the first thing it says? A time to be born, a time to die. Okay, and there was a time for the devil's kingdom to be born into the earth, the Renaissance, and now it's time for his kingdom to die. Okay, we're at the end, okay, of this devil's triumph, man. The triumph for the wicked is short. Okay, the joy of the hypocrite, but for a moment. You see, and we're at the end of that moment. A time to plant. All right, it was a time where the devil planted his wicked kingdom. Okay, the Renaissance, man, there was the devil replanting the Greco-Roman Empire and the earth all over again. Okay, and the time to pluck up that which is planted. Now it's time to pluck it up. Okay, now this devil's kingdom is getting ready to get rooted up, man. From this source, man, which is these elite bankers, man. That's the source, okay, of this wicked, evil empire, is these elites, man. Okay, that's the head of the snake. You see, verse 3 says, a time to kill and a time to heal, a time to break down and a time to build up. And see, it's time to break down this devil's kingdom. And now there's a righteous kingdom. It's going to be time to build a righteous kingdom, man. You know, and it begins with us now. That's why it's emphasis on what? Edification, which is building up. Okay, so the kingdom to come is already being built up. It's being staged. Okay, you know, the kingdom of Yahweh Bashim Al-Shai, the kingdom of Israel. Okay, that's going to rule. That's why Jacob held the heel of Esau, because if this man is being broken down, the kingdom of Israel is being built up. The righteous, eternal government of Israel is being built up. At the same time, this devil is being broken down. Okay, at the same time, his empire is being killed. We're being healed. You see, the elect is going through a healing process, man. And when we're changed, it's going to be the completion of us being healed. You know, and it's going to be time to build physical infrastructure. Okay, that's why the heathens, after this Third World War, okay, they're going to be the survivors of this, the heathen that survived this Third World War. They're going to be slaves, man, to physically build up the kingdom, man. You know, and this is what this thing is about, man. It's beyond the war. There's a life after the war. Okay, the war is just the pinnacle. You know, it's just a marker for a new age. Okay, this is going to be the cutting asunder of the times, this Third World War. Okay, and we're seeing all the signs of that build up to this war, man. Okay, so let's go jump down to verse 8. It says, a time to love and a time to hate, a time of war and a time of peace. Okay, and we're in the time of war. Okay, and hatred is at an all-time high in the earth, man. Okay, these kingdoms hate each other. You know, they agree, you know, but it's based off, because all these nations, you know, their agreements and alliances are based off convenience, because the Most High got them in situations to where these nations need each other. Okay, and as these nations align economically, they're also aligning militarily, and it's for the sake of war. Okay, well, there's authentic hatred between these nations. You know, of course, the elites in the background, and it's a global agenda. Okay, and these nations agree on this new world order, but you got to believe there's an authentic hatred for Esau Edom amongst these nations, man. Okay, there is authentic hate even amongst these Edomites, man. There's an authentic hate. Okay, and it's going to spill over into a war. You see, so we're in a time of hate and war. Okay, these are the times that we win. You know, because before we can enjoy peace, before we can, you know, really embrace like we want to, you know, well, this place has to be rooted up. Okay, because this devil Esau Edom is in the way of life, man. And this war is coming to remove this nigga, man. You see? So we pay attention to these things because like, this is a major part. All right, this has to play out before we come into the promises given to our forefathers, man. You know, so I want to get a few things. I got a couple videos I want to play just to show some of the latest happenings, what's going on. Okay, with this devil. Okay, and also what these kings of the east, how they're gearing up. Okay, because they know that war is inevitable. They know it's only a matter of time for the West. The Most High allowed. Because you look at the timeline. That 12-day war between the small hats and Iran. Okay, the America came in at the end. Well, it showed Iran, their weaknesses. Okay, and ever since then they just been building up and preparing for war. Okay, what happened in Venezuela? It made Iran more valuable to China. Okay, to where Venezuela was it was disposable. Okay, they can do it without Venezuela. Well, what Russia and Iran can't do without is Iran. Okay, so these nations, they agree. They got these digital systems. All of them got digital currencies rolling out, and they agree. But then there's also jockeying for position. Okay, so they're tussling. Okay, for position going into this new world order, and it's going to lead to actual war. You see, it's going to lead to all out war because it's the will of the Lord. Okay, the elites got their agenda where they got certain narratives going and certain things playing out. But it's all about the Lord's agenda, man. Okay, so these recent events have done nothing but push these nations to fulfill the will of Yahweh Bashim Al-Shah. All right, and that's all these nations can do. That's all anyone can do who have resisted his will. Okay, so let's play these. I got two videos I want to get into just to show you how what happened in Venezuela made Iran more valuable to China. Okay, and you can tell because China is being more hands-on with arming Iran for this war. Okay, but eventually the Lord going to have it to where Russia and China are not just going to be arming Iran, they're going to have to get involved. Okay, they're going to have to get involved, man, because we know America is declining, you see, but they still going to be a problem that these nations going to have to come together because that's the will of the Lord. Okay, but let's play this real quick, and we'll go from there.
"16 military cargo aircraft, less than 3 days, all headed into Iran." Unconfirmed reports now suggest China has carried out the largest rapid military airlift to Iran in history, as U.S.-Iran tensions edge closer to open conflict. With American warships moving in and Washington openly discussing regime change, a new and dangerous question is emerging. Is Beijing quietly arming Tehran for a possible war with the United States? According to multiple unverified intelligence and flight tracking reports, around 16 Chinese military cargo planes have landed in Iran over the past 56 hours. If confirmed, this would mark China's fastest and largest military support operation ever sent to Tehran, eclipsing years of incremental aid. Neither Beijing nor Tehran has officially commented, fueling speculation about what exactly is being delivered and why now. The reports come as Iran abruptly shut down its airspace without explanation. Yet flight trackers still detected aircraft linked to China and Iran's sanctioned Mahan Air operating during the closure. That anomaly immediately raised alarms among analysts, especially given Iran's history of misidentifying aircraft and escalating during crises. Mahan Air is no ordinary airline. The US sanctioned it in 2011 for supporting the IRGC Quds Force, and again in 2019 for transporting missile and nuclear related materials. Any surge in Mahan Air activity during a regional crisis is treated as a potential red flag by Western intelligence agencies. At the same time, the United States is visibly reinforcing the region. The aircraft carrier USS Abraham Lincoln, escorted by destroyers, is moving toward the Middle East. Meanwhile, at least 12 US F 15 fighter jets, backed by refueling tankers, have arrived in Jordan, sharply boosting US strike capability. President Donald Trump has escalated rhetoric even further, openly calling for new leadership in Iran and targeting Supreme Leader Ali Khamenei's decades long rule. The comments follow weeks of deadly protests inside Iran and warnings from Washington that all options remain on the table. Analysts say China has strong incentives to quietly support Iran, countering U.S. influence, protecting energy routes, and testing Washington's red lines. Unlike Russia, Beijing operates in the shadows, using logistics, dual use equipment, and plausible deniability to shift power without open confrontation. With Iran's skies briefly sealed, sanctioned airlines active, U.S. forces converging, and China's shadow growing larger, the Middle East is entering one of its most dangerous moments in years. Whether these flights signal routine logistics or covert war preparation, one reality is clear. The path to confrontation is no longer theoretical, it's airborne.
Yeah, and what's happening, the Lord is causing, China to be more active, to be more hands-on, because Beijing, as it said, has been playing the back. You just hear about them mainly of these rumors of invading Taiwan, and trade wars. Okay, but now the Lord is requiring, all right, Moab, all right, China to get, more hands-on in this war. All right, because everybody finna have to get dirty. Because that's another thing. These nations, they know, okay, that all right, they know that they have capabilities to just destroy infrastructure in this war. So these nations, they want to see, they're thinking long term. They're trying to preserve infrastructure. They're trying to preserve, resources, and okay, and then they know how treacherous America is, and they know. So these nations they've been trying to play it cool, but the Lord forcing them to go to war. Okay, putting on the spirit of these small has to be impulsive, and he put it on the spirit on America, all right, to be reckless. Okay, so the Lord is going to provoke these kings of the east, all right, through this beast system. Okay, because even these small hats, they're not a part of the beast. They're not part of the 10 horns. Okay, they're not part of that. All right, whole image of the beast when you go into, that 7 heads and 10 horns, the whore, which is America. Small hats are not part of that. Okay, we just understand. You just have to understand that everything that these small hats are able to do militarily is because they get their weaponry from America. They get their intelligence from America, man. Okay? Because it's nothing but, the small hats is nothing but, okay, a military state of this beast system. Okay? That's propped up by mainly America, all right, the British, okay, the French, okay? So these small hats are propped up. Even though you look into these wars that the small hats have gotten into, the West was always there to bag them up to where they just dominated, okay, those Arab states. You see? And the Lord set it up this way, okay? Because these small hats play a part in what? The least of the flock, drawing all these major nations into it, man. Okay? So everything is working exactly how it's written in the scriptures, man. You see, and these kings of the east are preparing themselves. All right, now what are they preparing themselves with? Because okay, we know, all right, China been upping its shipments, okay, to Iran. Okay, so I got another video that kind of goes into detail, okay, of what's being shipped over there. Okay, it's a time of war. You see, all roads lead to this third world war, which is the second coming. All right, which directly linked to the second coming of Yahweh Shai. So let's play this.
Iran is strengthening its skies. It has deployed Russian S-400s and Chinese HQ missiles. A secret deal, a secret missile deal with China and Russia and China trying to shield Iran.
You and I both know that geopolitics isn't just speeches and sanctions. It's hardware, logistics, and timing. And right now, the China-Iran relationship is moving from strategic partnership on paper into something that looks and feels like a live security architecture being built in real time. What we're watching is a major power, China, quietly helping a targeted state, Iran, harden its defenses, keep its economy breathing, and deny Washington and Tel Aviv the easy coercion they've relied on for decades. Let's start with the headline development that changed the entire conversation. Reports that China has moved air defense capability into the Islamic Republic of Iran. In practical terms, that means Iran's air defense network is being reinforced with modern Chinese surface-to-air missile systems, systems that aren't symbolic but structural. The names that keep surfacing are the HQ-9 family and the HQ-22 family, including export variants. And the reason those names matter is simple. These are the kinds of systems that change the cost of air operations, the risk profile for strike packages, and the confidence an attacker has when planning to hit and leave.
Why waste another summer not loving your body?
With Base 44, we turn that question into a successful business.
87.
Take a moment to like and share this video. That would help me out. Thank you. Think about what a long-range system like the HQ-9 class represents. It's not a single launcher sitting in a desert for a photo op. It's a layered engagement concept, long-range missiles, radar coverage, battle management, and integration with broader sensors so that detection turns into tracking, tracking turns into targeting, and targeting turns into interception. In open technical terms, the HQ-9 family is widely described as a long-range SAM class designed to engage aircraft and certain missile and drone threats at significant distances and to create a defended envelope around critical infrastructure, airfields, command nodes, nuclear and energy sites, and the arteries that keep the state functioning. Even if you put aside the marketing numbers and focus on basic military logic, the effect is the same. It forces any would-be attacker to work harder, spend more, and take more risk. What makes these reported Chinese systems even more strategically meaningful is not just their raw missile range, but the idea of radar integration and networked defense. Iran has its own air defense ecosystem. Domestic systems, legacy Russian systems, and a layered doctrine built under sanctions pressure. But when you add a new supplier with different sensor suites and different engagement algorithms, you can complicate the attacker's electronic warfare playbook. You can increase resilience by diversifying radars, command links, and engagement zones. You can harden the system against single-point failure, and you can force the opponent to fight a moving target, literally and operationally, because a modern IADS is not a static thing, it's an evolving organism. Now let's zoom out, because air defense is only the first piece. The deeper question is what else China can provide, directly or indirectly, to expand Iran's deterrent posture. And here we're talking about categories that matter in the real world: fighters, sensors, anti-ship capabilities, missiles, drones, electronic warfare, cyber, and the industrial base that allows Iran to sustain readiness even under economic siege. In the fighter category, the J-10C repeatedly appears as the most strategically plausible upgrade path discussed in defense circles because it is modern enough to matter and available enough to be exportable.
And real quick, so Russia has supplied Pakistan with these J-10 fighter jets, and India, they have those American F-16s. So I don't know if y'all remember, but last year Pakistan and India got into it, and they had some dog fights, with these fighter jets. So Pakistan had these Chinese J-10s, and India had them American F-16s, and just going on to the reports that, that was coming out, they said those Chinese J-10s outperform, them F-16s, Now we know, of course, America got, F-22s, F-35s, those what they call fifth generational fighter jets, but it just shows you that China ain't got no BS over there. It's the Lord that's doing this. All right, damn Moab slant our ass, man. It's the Lord that got these nations built up for His will, His purpose, man. You see, but yeah, that's a little, footnote. As I was listening to this.
If Iran improves its air defense while also modernizing its fighter fleet, you get a different regional geometry. It's one thing to defend sites. It's another to contest airspace, threaten reconnaissance assets, and complicate Israeli operational freedom. And you know what that does? It forces a reconsideration of easy strikes and managed escalation because the margin of safety shrinks. Now, none of this exists in a vacuum. It's happening under escalating tension between Tehran and Washington, and what's new this year is not just rhetoric, but the economic warfare expanding outward. When Washington starts talking about punishing not only Iran, but also countries that trade with Iran, that's not policy detail. That's a strategic message to China. Your relationship with Iran will carry a price. And if you're China, you read that message and you do what major powers do. You hedge, you harden, you build options, and you refuse to let an adversary control your energy security with paperwork and threats. And you refuse to let an adversary control your energy security with paperwork and threats. This is where the US game against China becomes visible, and it's not subtle. The United States has been trying to limit Beijing's global influence by pressuring Chinese supply chains, disrupting Chinese partnerships, and punishing states that give China strategic depth. And it's doing it with blunt instruments, not whispers. When Washington can threaten a sweeping 25% tariff on any country doing business with Iran, that's not targeted pressure anymore. That's an attempt to force entire economies to choose sides. Pair that with the scale of America's sanctions machinery, hundreds of Iran-related designations in a single year by US authorities, and campaigns that stack up into the high hundreds of persons, vessels, and aircraft sanctioned in a year. And you start to see the playbook as a mass production model. Weaken the partner, choke the money, fracture the coalition, then present the outcome as inevitable and rules-based. Now take that pattern and look at Iran. Iran isn't just another file on someone's desk. Iran.
Yeah, so that's the point. Just to show you, that China, is heavily arming, Iran, and it's going to be much harder, for America and these small hands to get off, like they've been getting off, Now, Iran, their strong point is their ballistic missile and their drone system, Iran's offense is on 99. Their defense was lacking. When you look at their 12-day war, their defense was lacking. Them small hats was able to, destroy, critical military infrastructure as far as their air defense. But these nations, Russia and China, they've been bolstering their defense for these last 7 months. So in the West, no, they're gonna have to come with it. Okay, and Iran gonna have to come with. Okay, hey, so the stakes are just getting higher and higher. Every day that they don't fight, the stakes are getting higher and higher. Okay, and they're just both sides are preparing because eventually they're gonna have to lock up. Okay, so let's go from there. Let's get some precepts. All right, let's get this real quick. Let's get this in Second Ezra 16. Okay, this Second Ezra 16:1. It says, woe be unto thee, Babylon, which is America and Asia. Now, when you think of Asia, we have to understand what they call the Middle East. You know, it's really Western Asia. Okay, because we know the missiles are going to Babylon. Okay, but what they call the Middle East is the Valley of Jehoshaphat is in the region of what they call the Middle East, which is Western Asia. Okay, and you best believe, you know, America gonna send some shit to China as well. You know, it's all part of the Asian continent. Okay, well, when you go into the Valley of Jehoshaphat, where you know these nations are gonna lock up. Okay, that's where Yahweh Shai is gonna, you know, enter the scene, and these nations are being drawn, you know, to this Valley of Jehoshaphat. Okay, which is today in what they call modern Syria. You know, it's in Western Syria, which, you know, portions of Syria is a part of, you know, Israel. Okay, according to the promise, you know, made to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. When you go and look at that on the map, okay, a portion of Syria of today is a part of the promised land. Even with the devil trying to do the greater Israel project, they're trying to tap into the totality of the promised land. Okay, and that's another reason they want to clear out Iran, you know, to clear out all resistance so the devil can just have their way. You know, they can have those resources in Iran. Okay, they can, you know, have more, you know, control of traffic, you know, on their region, on their continent, you know, of Asia. Okay, so that's why we see it's a hotbed over there in what they call the Middle East, which is really Western Asia. All right, Middle East is a new term. Okay, so it said, woe be to thee, Babylon, which is America and Asia. Woe be unto thee, Egypt and Syria. And remember, the Valley of Jehoshaphat, okay, is in modern day Syria, which was originally part of, you know, the Promised Land. Okay, Yahweh Shaphat, which that's going to be the place where the Lord judges all these nations, man. Okay, over in the Valley of Jehoshaphat, so that the Lord is going to judge these nations in the Valley of Jehoshaphat in Egypt, okay, which is America, and Babylon, which is America, going to receive all these missiles, okay, from these different nations, man. You see? So when you read it, it says, woe, it says, gird up yourselves with clothes of sack and hair, bewail your children and be sorry, for your destruction is at hand. Okay, and we're just seeing that build up. All these moves being made, you know, military hardware being moved. Okay, the nations are being forced, you know, to get active. Okay, ain't no chilling. Everybody got to get involved, man. Okay, everybody that bend the boat. That's the Lord calling all these nations to get active, man. Okay, if you got any type of military might, you're being called to action, man. You're being called to arms. Okay, he said, gird up yourselves with clothes of sack and hair, bewail your children, and be sorry, for your destruction is at hand. A sword is sent upon you, and who may turn it back? A fire is sent among you, and who may quench it? Plagues are sent, and you, I said, unto you, and who is he that may drive them away? So ain't no reversing, okay, this war and the destruction that this war is going to bring, because it's all the Lord's judgment. And then the Lord said, well, he shall open up his armory and bring out the weapons of his indignation, man. Okay, so all this military hardware that's being moving around, the Lord is opening up his armory, man. And the ultimate weapon of his indignation is these nukes. Okay, but he's causing these nations to bring out all stops, man. Okay, it says, may a man drive away a hungry lion in the wood, or may anyone quench the fire and stubble when it have begun to burn. May one turn away an arrow that is shot of a strong archer, man. And these are the nukes. Okay. And the Lord has built these nations up, their military might, so they can be these strong archers, man. Okay. It says, the mighty Lord sendeth the plagues, and who is he that can drive them away? A fire shall go forth from his wrath, and who is he that may quench it? Okay. He shall cast lightnings, and this is from the chariots. You know, that fire that's coming from the chariots, and who shall not fear? Who shall thunder? And who shall not be afraid? The Lord shall threaten, and who shall not be utterly beaten to powder in his presence, man, because of the presence of Yahushua. Okay, these nations are going to be turned to powder. You know, these militaries are going to be turned to powder. You see, all this hardware we talking about, you know, the J-10, the F-22, you know, Russian MiG, you know, 35s or whatever. Okay, all this going to be powder. Okay, they're going to serve a purpose. Okay, because the Lord wants these nations to pummel each other, and he wants America to get embarrassed. Okay, he wants America to get completely embarrassed, man. All right, and then Yahushua is coming to turn everything to powder, man. Okay, with those chariots, because he's coming to finalize this war, man. Okay, these nations won't have no capacity to ever go to war again. Okay, and then even the weapons, all right, that's not used in this war are going to be destroyed, according to Ezekiel 30, 38, and 39. We know. So let's go from there. We can go here. Okay, and deal with the kings of the east. Oh, I mean to go from there. Let's get this in Revelation 16. You know, we spoke about the kings of the east. Okay, and those main three kings of the east, you know, is Russia, China, and Iran. You know, because they're, you know, it's very, and they have a very strategical alliance, man. You know, and with all their strong points combined, along with these other nations, you know, North Korea, India, Pakistan, okay, Turkey, okay, they gonna overwhelm the West, man. You know, America gonna get some shots off, and you know, America still got, you know, the ability to rock some shit, but they not gonna dominate, okay, as they do these smaller countries, man. Okay, it's gonna go way different than what America is used to. You see, Revelation 16 and 12, it says, and the sixth angel poured out his vial upon the great river Euphrates, and the water thereof was dried up, that the way of the kings of the east might be prepared, man. Okay, so we're seeing the kings of the east preparing themselves to make their way across the Euphrates, man. Okay, into their region of Jehoshaphat, okay, which is in modern day Syria, you know, northwest Syria, okay, which is really, you know, part of our land. Okay, so we're seeing moves being made, alliances getting tightened. You see, and then the kings of the east are preparing themselves. Okay, it says, and I saw three unclean spirits like frogs come out of the mouth of the dragon. You know, and these three unclean spirits, you know, you go into, you know, London, which is the financial, all right, branch, okay, for this beast system. DC, which is the military, okay, and the Vatican, all right, which is the religion, okay, which is nothing but, you know, it's a left-hand priesthood, okay. A Roman Catholic Church is nothing but a left-hand priesthood, okay, and that's just what we see, all right, and the ones we don't see are those Chaldeans, okay, and warlocks, man. okay, that have these secret councils on the left-hand side, you know? And you got to understand that, you know, on the left-hand side, they're being told to make certain moves, okay? Because there's no one that's more deceived than Esau, okay? Because as he's, you know, been given the spirit to deceive the earth, well, the Most High had this man deceived, okay? To where there's no one that's more deceived than this nigga, man, okay? And he's getting these instructions on the left-hand side that is leading to his end of his captivity, man, the end of his rulership in this captivity. Okay? So these three unclean spirits come out of the mouth of the dragon, okay, which the dragon goes into the Roman Empire, which has been revived today through America, NATO, and EU. Okay, the dragon is back. Okay, and out of the mouth of the beast, you know, it's a beast system. That beast, that fourth beast, has been revived in the earth. Okay, America, NATO, EU is Rome, the Roman Empire reloaded. You know, with America being likened to Rome itself. Okay, the centerpiece of the empire. Okay, it says in out of the false prophet, man, which is the Roman Catholic Church. Okay, which, you know, you go into the biggest religion is Christianity, you know, and this modern Christianity was nothing but paganism and lies and idolatry, was sprung out of the Roman Catholic Church, man. You know, it plays a major part in the deception and the lies, all right, they anchor this kingdom down. And that's why this truth is the beginning phase of uprooting this kingdom, man. Okay, verse 14, it says, for they are the spirit of devils working miracles, which go forth unto the kings of the earth and the whole world to gather them to battle to the great day of the Most High Almighty, man. Okay, of God Almighty, man. So these elites, these moves they're making in the background, you know, because they're causing confusion on purpose. They're causing chaos. Okay, they're keeping these wars going on purpose. Okay, or the threat of war going on purpose. Okay, these regime change and everything that these devils are doing, okay, is just leading to this third world's war, in which the Lord, okay, is going to send Yahweh Shah back. That's why when you get to verse 15, what does it say? Behold, I come as a thief in the night. Blessed is he that watcheth and keepeth his garments, lest he walk naked and they see his shame. Okay, because it's all leading up to Yahweh Shah coming back as a thief in the night, man. Okay, to deliver his elect, okay, and destroy, okay, all these kingdoms of the earth and their militaries, man. You know, to bring down all these Edomite, okay, along with the rest of these heathen governments and power structures in the earth, man. Okay, because America, that land mass is going to be a complete desert. You know, these other nations, they're going to be affected because the earth going to rail to and fro like a drunkard, man. The major earthquakes and then all the missiles hitting. You know, then you know, just the power, all that power coming into this realm, the chariots, man. So the earth, okay, the earth is going to be, you know, under a lot of stress. You know, our whole earth is going to be affected, man. Okay, but America is going to be a desert. You see, and the rest of the earth is going to be built back up, okay, by these heathens, man. Okay, so there's a lot of manual labor. All right, it's going to be needed in the kingdom, man. Okay, so that's the point. Just wanted to go into that. You know, we're just seeing moves being made. We're just following the moves, man, because everything leads to Yahweh Shah. All these moves being made, it leads to Yahweh Shah. You know, and that's what we on. So Lord will you brothers, all right, and you sisters edified. Till next time I say shalom. Shalom, Bible, Shalom.